Just a reminder, so when you ask questions, please ask just one question. Yep. So let's start. So we have only 3 teams to go. So the first team of this section is Triple Silver with the title Proposal for Handling Gray Water in the Arctic Water. Please welcome Team Triple Silver.
Hello, we are Team Triple Silver. It's a great honor to speak in 2021 mock-IMO Assembly.
Today we are going to give a new proposal for handling gray water in the Arctic.
Prevention is better than cure. Through our proposal, we hope to make safe and clean sea. Thank you!
Good afternoon, Honorable Secretary of the IMO, distinguished delegates, and esteemed guests. This is Team Triple Silver, and it is a great honor to present our proposal for handling gray water in the Arctic water. This presentation will be proceeded along introduction, background, problem analysis, proposal, and conclusion. The speaker would like to start this presentation with the introduction. The gray water from ship might cause negative effect on the Arctic. In considering the IMO Strategic Direction 4, engage in ocean governance, marine space activities have to balance with the ocean's capacity to remain healthy and diverse in the long term. Team Triple Silver is afraid of gray water generation and especially its discharge in the Arctic, and this issue would meet SD4 as an urgent agenda. In this regard, Team Triple Silver would present proposal the gray water treatment system by amending MARPOL Annex 4 and its efficient monitoring system. From now on, this is a part of background of our proposal. The main structure is as follows. Firstly, the vessel traffic in the Arctic is increasing, and so is the shipborne gray water. There are some important reasons why the IMO should focus on the Arctic and why the gray water should be regulated. With the development of technologies and decreasing sea ice in the Arctic, the traffic of passenger and cruise ships has been sharply increasing as shown in the left graph. In the case of tourism vessels, there's a large number of onboard people, and their sailing is taking long period, approximately 24 to 28 days. As for gray water generation, this heat map shows the estimation for 2025 and 2035 based on measured data in 2016. A significant increase of gray water generation is expected. Focusing on passenger and cruise ships, almost 40% of total shipborne gray water was from them. As 90% of wastewater from them is the gray water, it is clear that the major origins of gray water are passenger and cruise ships. Also, compared with other types of ships, it is reported that passenger and cruise ships generate more than twice the amount of gray water. Along this line, we can figure out that there would be a significant increase in gray water generation and its discharge. Here are the reasons why the Arctic should be especially considered. The coastal environment where passenger ships usually operate is more vulnerable for rapid nutrient changes than open seas. And its marine pollutions might lead to disturbances to our food chains. Also, food security of indigenous people might be jeopardized. It's surprised that untreated vessel gray water from passenger ship is polluted as much as domestic sewage or that of other types of ships. According to this table, the biochemical oxygen and suspended solids are often higher in untreated vessel gray water than in domestic sewage. The shipborne gray water contains hazardous substances like microplastics, pathogens, and suspended solids. They might threaten the Arctic ecosystem by surface contamination or hypoxic water generation. Only some nations like Canada or Alaska and US have their own gray water regulations by restricting discharge zone or equipping treatment system in cruise ships. However, there are still significant amounts of illegal gray water discharges into the seas. Now, the second speakers will be here. Please welcome. Thank you. Now, regarding these backgrounds, we found out some problems. The relevant company is MEPC, and we're gonna dealing with MAPOL, which deals with pollution from ships, and Polar Code with regard to polar waters. These are the definition of gray water as mentioned by some IMO documents. In accordance with MEPC 64, gray water means drainage from like dishwater, laundry, and bath. But it does not include drainage, which is defined in Regulation 1.3 of MAPOL Annex 4. Also, as indicated in MEPC 71, the gray water is not considered garbage in the context of MAPOL Annex 5, which regards of garbage from ships. This means the gray water is not include either sewage or garbage. In the case of sewage, there is the MAPOL Annex 4, Prevention of Pollution by Sewage from Ships. The definition of sewage could be compared with that of gray water. Sewage include drainage from like toilets, medical premises, and their mixed waters. On the contrary, gray water does not include these. In this annex, there are specific regulations regarding how to treat and discharge sewage and reception facilities. However, as the gray water is not included in sewage, there are no regulations in terms of gray water discharge. Also, in Polar Code, we can find out some sewage treatment regulation, but no gray water one. For now, we've noticed that there are no mandatory regulations for the discharge of shipborne gray water. It is quite contrary to the fact that regulation of sewage are already exist in MAPOL Annex 4 and Polar Code. As shown in this document, MEPC 63 and 73 have already acknowledged the necessary of handling gray water and the amendment of MAPOL Annex 4. On this basis, there is a compelling need for appropriate coordinated actions. According to these problems, this speaker would deliver the proposals of Team Triple Silver. Basically, Team Triple Silver proposes that the amendment of Regulation 1 of MAPOL Annex 4 to insert a new paragraph 9. It is the definition of gray water based on several IMO documents. The main proposal is consisted of two sectors. One is treatment system of gray water from ships, and the other is monitoring system for handling gray water. Each of two measurements is carried out with gradual implementation plans. From now on, the last speaker will be present the specific parts. Thank you.
It is time for specify the proposal. As for treatment system of gray water from ships, the amendment of MAPOL Annex 4 is considered. At first, the gray water treatment system could be equipped on board. So we suggest to replace the word sewage by sewage and gray water in MAPOL Annex 4, Regulation 9. In this amendment, it let ships implement onboard treatment system for both sewage and gray water. In this way, only properly disinfected gray water shall be discharged into the sea or reused on board, so to speak, as toilet flush water. This proposal is aiming at lowering the pollutant level, securing the indigenous people's food security, and saving the energy. In some cases, both gray water and sewage could be treated within the ships after they are mixed. AWTS or MBR are acknowledged to efficient vessel wastewater treatment system, including gray water. Not only onboard treatment system, gray water could be treated as port and terminal reception facilities. As for that, we suggest to insert a new paragraph 3 in Regulation 12. According to the new paragraph, the gray water reception facilities shall be provided in ports and terminals which are used by passenger ships operating in the Arctic. The objective of this amendment is to provide systematic treatments for the ships not equipping any certificated onboard systems, and also to reduce illegal gray water discharges. There are many ways to equip reception facilities, not only the former plant types. This is the example of ports and anchorages in the Arctic, which major cruise ships use. If reception facilities provided in this point at first, the pollution by gray water would be efficiently preventive. The gradual implementation plan for this amendment would be suggested in 3 phases. Firstly, phase 1 is prior to the entering the amendment regulations into force. Estimate the amount of gray water discharges from ships in the Arctic and select the major ports to equip reception facilities, the target ships which shall be covered by the regulation. Moving to phase 2, the regulation would take effect on passenger and cruise ships that operate in the Arctic. And in phase 3, expand the coverage to all types of ships operating in the Arctic. As for the next sector, monitoring system for handling gray water, we introduced the Discharge Pollution Impact Monitoring System. This system model has 3 goals. First, as for discharge, investigate the pollutant sources and its amount. Secondly, as for pollution, measure the pollutant concentration and its distribution. As for impact, lastly, analyze and predict the impacts on the local societies and ecosystem. This system would be carried out following 3 steps by ports and terminals. First, step 1 is for investigation. Determine the monitoring target ships and pollutant sources from ships. Also, evaluate the risk of shipborne gray water. Step 2 is for measurement and monitoring. As the amendment regulations of MARPOL Annex 4 take effect, measure the concentration of water pollutants. Simultaneously, record the gray water treatment history. Step 3 is for analyzing and prediction. Analyze the impacts of gray water discharge on the Arctic and predict the future impacts on local systems and economic impacts. This step 3 is carried out using accumulated data from step 1 and 2 and also from the already existing system like AIS. This is the expected effects of the monitoring system. Firstly, systematic measurement for gray water would be possible at ports and terminals. It is also possible to assess the continuity and effectiveness of the regulation. The lack of standard methods and baseline data have been pointed out for a long time. By carrying out monitoring system, it is expected to establish internationally standardized methods for measurement and prediction regarding gray water. And accumulated data would be utilized as baseline data for various researches. This is the last part, conclusion. Through the background and problem analysis, we figure out that the increasing vessel traffic in the Arctic could lead to increase of gray water generation and discharge, and its environmental pollution in the Arctic. However, there is still no regulation or international regulations about handling gray water. Furthermore, the IMO already has been acknowledged the necessity of the regulation. In this regard, Team Triple Silver proposed 2 measurement and its implementation plans. By amending MARPOL Annex 4, gray water treatment system shall be equipped. And by introducing Discharge Pollution Impact Monitoring System, we can manage the pollutions and analyze the data from them. Also, each 2 gradual implementation plans would minimize the economic impact and losses and ensure the sufficient preparation time before the regulation comes into force. Since this proposal has an interactive system of treatment and monitoring, it is expected to be preventive and sustainable management. Moreover, this proposal would be the preventive action, and this action would be the triggers for preemptive regulation or international discussion for the other environmental topics in the future. By these efforts, Team Triple Silver is expecting to make safe and clean sea. This is the end of presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. Yeah. Mare Nostrum, please.
Thank you for an awesome presentation. I have one question that would be about the monitoring system. About the monitoring system, would there be a difference from offshore and onshore? So how would you monitor the sewage from the ship and from the offshore?
Thank you for your question. Could you give me some preparation time for 1 moment? Thank you for your consideration. According to the monitoring system, we suggest the reception facility and onboard treatment system about the treatment sector, and each plans for monitoring. And as for the treatment system of shore reception facilities, it can be recorded on the ports. And as for the onboard treatment system, each ship will record the treatment histories on that ship, and it will be saved on ports or the countries they operating. Is it correct for your question?
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Next question from Contagion Busters.
Yeah, thank you for your awesome presentation. I also have one question. Your team only mentioned about the passenger ship or cruise ship. So what is the specific onboard treatment system in merchant ship?
Oh, you mean the merchandise ship?
Yes, right.
Non-cruise ship or non-passenger ships like oil tankers, bulkers.
Thank you for your concerns. Because the passenger and cruise ship, the traffic of passenger and cruise ship has been increasing in the Arctic specifically, and they have a lot of gray water in. So we regulated the passenger and cruise ships specifically than merchandise ships.
Thank you.
Next question from Judge Park, Mr. Park. Yep.
Well done, Team Triple Silver. You have suggested the implementation of the onboard greywater treatment system called AWS, right? Could you elaborate on how the AWS system is different from the current treatment systems installed on the ships?
Thank you for your question. AWTS is already existing system, for example, in Alaska, US, and this system is not special with treatment of gray water, but it is for the entire vessel wastewater system. And it is reported that AWTS can treatment the gray water either. So we suggest that system for some example. Yeah.
Okay. Next question from Massive.
First of all, thank you for your presentation. It was very informative. But this delegate is aware that in order for new instruments or for amendments to be introduced by the IMO, the necessity for an issue has to be made clear-cut. Now, first of all, the environmental impacts that the presentation gives, the examples are not clear-cut as to say that gray water is the sole cause of these environmental impacts. And furthermore, in slide 23, the presentation mentions that the MEPC 63 introduces this topic, but the MEPC 63 was in 2012, and no other parties were, although invited, no other parties have stated in any issues regarding this part. So if the IMO really does recognize the issue, then shouldn't have there been issues during the 10 years since this MEPC was introduced?
Are you clear with question? I don't know. So what is your question? I don't know, sorry.
The question is it really a necessary issue? Why is this a relevant topic? For 10 years, there have not been any discussions regarding this matter, despite being introduced in MEPC 63.
So you mean why this is an issue, right? To
Yes.
shipping industry, yeah?
Yes.
Thank you for your question. Actually, that issue's order is reversed. Gray water regulation has been issued regarding an Antarctic. At first, about 2008 or 2013, but that time the proposal was not developed because it takes a long time to establish a new regulations and so on. So only in some countries like Canada or US, like we mentioned, covered with their one regulations, and some countries and environmental organizations keep proposing to need this issue.
Follow-ups allowed?
Yeah. let me move on to the next question. Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah, from.
Right. Following up the previous question, as the previous person raised the question, the gray water is not considered at the moment the highest environmental impact pollutant. So when we make any regulation, we should think about the balance between industry and the overregulation. If we overregulate in some area of the water, it will kill the industry. That means nowadays northern polar route is opening up. If we introduce too fast the regulation, it will kill the industry. So did you consider this kind of a fine balance between industry development and over regulation?
Thank you for your question. When we prepared this presentation, we considered the economic losses either. So according to our implementation plan, in phase 1 or step 1, we had the preparation time for industries for minimize the economic losses and search for more efficient and economic ways to prepare the regulation. And furthermore, we think the environmental issues is more important than short-term economic losses, and there will be a large amount of recovery cost for that. So we suggest a preemptive action. This proposal.
Yep. Time is tight, so let me finish here. Yeah, well done, Team Triple Silver. Please return to your seat. Thank you.